Elvis once called this his favorite movie. I've seen it several times. I don't know whether it's more of a comedy or a parody or just a racist trope of its time. The ultimate hippie movie, and I think Austin Powers' character borrows a lot from this movie. This is called The Party by Blake Edwards. If you ever see this movie, you'll never forget it, especially the ending 15 minutes, which is just through the roof. That's what I'm saying. Now, this 68th American comedy film was directed by Blake Edwards and starred Peter Sellers and Claudine Lauger, who was very good as a marksman. The film has a very loose structure and essentially serves a series of set pieces for Sellers' improv comedy. Based on a fish in the water premise, the movie is about a bungling actor from India, Harundai V. Bakshi, portrayed by Sellers, who accidentally gets invited to a lavish Hollywood dinner party and makes terrible mistakes based upon ignorance of Western ways. Howdy Partner and Birdie Num Num did not become part of the comedy lexicon, by the way. The protagonist was influenced by two of Sellers' early characters, the Indian doctor Ahmed El Kabir in The Millionaires and Inspector Clouseau in the Pink Panther series. In turn, the character of the party went on to be influential, inspiring several later popular characters, including Amitabh Bachchan's character Arjun Singh in the '82 Bollywood blockbuster Namak Halal, and Hank Azaria's character Apu Nasipibalan in the American animated sitcom The Simpsons. Get out of my store, come again. Now, a film crew in this one is making a Gunga Din style costume epic. Unknown Indian actor Harundi V. Bakshi plays a bugler, but continues to play after repeatedly being shot and after the director yells cut. Don't know if this was a John Ford or pre-Steven Spielberg influence. Harundi then accidentally blows up an enormous fort, set to rig with explosive, ruining the film, and of course, Bridge of the River Kwai overtones. The director fires him immediately and calls the studio head, General Fred R. Clutterbuck. Clutterbuck writes down Harundi's name to a blacklist list, but he inadvertently writes it on a guest list of his upcoming dinner party. Now, when Harundi receives his invitation, drives to the party. Upon parking his car, he steps into mud. Harundi tries to rinse the mud off his shoe in a pool that flows through the house, but he loses his shoe. After many failures, he's reunited with his shoe, served him on a silver platter by one of the waiters. And like I said, it's a rolling joke, no pun intended. Now, Harundi has awkward interactions with everyone at the party, including Clutterbuck's dog Cookie. He meets the famous Western movie star actor Wyoming Bill Kelso, who gives Harundi an autograph. Harundi later accidentally shoots Kelso with a toy gun, but Kelso doesn't see who did it. Harundi feeds a caged macaw food from a container marked Birdie Num Num and drops his food on the floor. Harundi at various times during the film activates a panel of electronics that control the intercom, a copy of the mannequin piss soaking a guest, and a retractable bar where Clutterbuck is sitting at it. After Kelso hurts Harundi's hand while shaking it, my goodness, I would have been disappointed if you hadn't crushed my hand. Harundi sticks his hand to a bowl of crushed ice containing caviar. While waiting to wash his hand, he meets aspiring actress Michelle Monet. AEW much, which came with producer C.S. Divitt. Harundi shakes Divitt's hand, and Divitt shakes hands with her guests, passing around the fishy odor, and back to Harundi after he has washed his hand. Now with dinner, Harundi's place, setting by the kitchen door, has a very low chair that puts his chin near the table. An increasingly drunk waiter, Levinson, tries to serve dinner and fights with the other staff. During the main course, Harundi's roast chicken catapults off his fork and becomes impaled on a guest's tiara. Harundi asks Levinson to retrieve his meal, but the woman with wig comes off along with tiara as she obviously engages in conversation. Levinson ends up brawling with other waiting staff, and dinner is disrupted. Now, there's a lot going on in this movie, some in the background, some in the foreground. But what really hurts this movie, it's only 96 minutes. It's just basically, there's not enough, there's no Dom DeLuise or Jimmy Coco or like a Burt Reynolds type character in the background. Would it be much better if you had Dom DeLuise and Burt Reynolds playing either the cowboy, or where's Harvey Korman? Like, it feels like a Carol Burnett skit. But Peter Sellers cannot carry this movie because he needed more people to act comedy. Now, in this one, when he apologizes to his host, he needs to go to the bathroom. He wanders through the house, opening doors and barging in on various servants and guests in embarrassing situations. He ends up in the backyard where he accidentally sets off the irrigation sprinklers. At Divott's insistence, Michelle gives an impromptu guitar performance of Nothing to Lose to impress the guests. Not an impressive performance, ladies and gentlemen. Horundai goes upstairs when he saves Michelle from Divott's unwanted advances by dislodging Divott's toupee. Horundai finally finds a bathroom, but he breaks the toilet, drops a painting in it, gets toilet paper everywhere, and floods the bathroom. To avoid being discovered, Horundai sneaks onto the roof and falls into the pool. Michelle leaps in to save him, but he's then coerced to drink alcohol to warm up. A Russian dance troupe arrives at a party. Upstairs, Horundai finds Michelle crying in the next room and consoles her. Divot bursts in and demands Michelle leave with him. Michelle says no, and Divot cancels her screen test the next day. Horundai persuades her to stay and have a good time with him. They then return to the party in borrowed clothes. The party gets wilder, and Horundai offers to retract the bar to make room for dancing. Instead, he opens a retractable floor with a pool underneath, causing guests to fall in the pool. Kind of the same skit from It's a Wonderful Life. You have to see what I mean. Levinson makes more floors retract, and more guests fall in. Clutterbuck's daughter rides with friends in a baby elephant, painted with "The world is flat" on its forehead and hippie slogans over its body. Horundai takes offense and asks him to watch the elephant because, in India, the elephant is sacred. The entire house is then filled with soap bubbles. Now, back in his home, Divot suddenly realizes that Horundai is the fired actor who blew up the set, and he races back to the party. As the band plays on, Clutterbuck tries to save his son's covered paintings. The air conditioner blows suds everywhere as the guests dance to psychedelic music, and Clutterbuck's distraught while he falls in the pool 3 times. Divot pulls up as the police and fire department personnel work to resolve everything. Horundai apologizes one last time to Clutterbuck as Divot reveals who Horundai is, but Clutterbuck accidentally chokes the head waiter instead of Horundai. Kelso gives Horundai an autographed photo and Stetson hat as Horundai and Michelle leave in Horundai's Morgan three-wheeler car. Outside her apartment, Horundai and Michelle appear on the verge of admitting that they have fallen for each other. Horundai gives Michelle the hat as a keepsake, and she says he can come get it any time. Horundai suggests he could come by next week, and she readily agrees. Horundai smiles and drives off as his car backfires. This was all in 91 minutes. Budget for this was terrible, by the way, only $1.9 million, but it did make back twice. And in some parts of the world, it did work, and in some DVD releases, it's on the second. It's tied with some Clouseau movies. I think some of the early ones. Now, screenplay by Edwards, Tom Waldman, and Frank Waldman. Story by Edwards, produced by Edwards. Again, Sellers and Langer. Cinematography, Lucien Ballard. Edited by Ralphie Winters. Music, of course, by Henry Mancini. Who else? The Merge Corporation put it out for UA. Came out April 1968. And again, reviews were tepid at best. Now, the cast is a bunch of, not saying no names, but Gavin MacLeod as C.S. Divot with toupee is quite effective. But the majority of the cast, again, I don't think they've worked much through the years. Now, Vin Scully is actually a guest star in it. He's uncredited, does not appear on screen, but his voice can be heard announcing an LA Dodgers game on the kitchen radio. Now, the party was the only non-Pink Panther collaboration between Sellers and Edwards. Producer Walter Murch knew that Sellers and Edwards were considerable liabilities. In his autobiography, Murch wrote Blake had achieved a reputation as a very expensive director, particularly after the Great Racist debacle when he was doing Take After Take. Sellers had played an Indian man, Dr. Ahmed El Kabir, in his hit film The Millionaires, and another Indian physician in The Road to Hong Kong. He is mostly remembered as a summer Klutz as Inspector Clouseau in Pink Panther series. Now, the film started shooting in May under title RSVP, but again, the party was more of like the hippie style of the time. Now, the film's interiors were shot in the set to the MGM lot, though this may be a mistake as IMDb lists the Samuel Goldwyn Studios on Formosa as their correct address. Likely as the other Mirage productions, including West Side Story, were shot there as well. The original script was only 63 pages, a lot of improv. Edwards later said it was the shortest script he ever shot from, and the majority of content of the film was improvised on set. Now, the film draws much inspiration from the works of Jacques Tati. Bakshi arrives at a party in a Morgan Tree Wheeler, which may suggest Monsieur Hulot's car in Monsieur Hulot's Holiday. However, it's not the same car, it's a Samsung L3, and the entire film storyline is reminiscent of the Royal Garden restaurant sequence of Playtime, and the comedic interaction with inanimate objects and gadgets that parallel several of Tati's films, including Monocle. Now, the score of the party was composed by, again, Mancini, including the single Nothing to Lose, performance on screen by Claudine Loget. Mancini, commenting on audience reaction, noted, "That's what I get for writing a nice song for comedy. Nobody's going to hear a note of it." During a scene later in the film, the band can be heard playing It Had Better Be Tonight, Bigelow Statisana, a song Mancini composed for the first Pink Panther film. The CD was originally released on BMG Victor on August 20th, 95, and mostly instrumentals. Now, the movie has a good rating on review aggregator Rotten Tomatoes, approval rating of 83% based on 23 reviews with an average score of 6.6. Now, considered a classic comedic cult film, I saw it in its French dub, not as funny, but in English. But the thing is, you have to go along with the oh, they want to tell you, sir, it will be a funny movie. That's not going to work. It worked in '68, not going to work in 2024. Now, Edwards' biographers Peter Lehman and William Lure said the party may very well be the most radically experimental films in Hollywood history. In fact, it may be the single most radical film since D.W. Griffith's style came to dominate the American cinema. So Saul Austerlitz wrote, "Despite the offensiveness of Sellers' brown-faced routine, the party is one of his very best films. Taking a page from Tati, this is a neo-realist comedy, purposely lacking a director's guiding eye. Look here, look there. The screen is crammed full of activity, and the audience's eyes are left to wander where they may." You got to be heavy on drugs to really get all the background stuff. I can't really describe it, but you have to see what. See, there's aspects of Mel Brooks, there's aspects of Python. Surrealistic. I think it's just basically a bunch of people on LSD, and it was '68, like the dying of the hippie generation. Now, the party has been criticized numerous times over the years for having perpetrated brown stereotypes and using what is called brownface with an exaggerated accent. Saying Danielson described it in The Guardian as a comic masterpiece, yet hardly the most enlightened depiction of her subcontinental brothers. Still, propelled by Sellers' insane brio, this late display of blackface provided some guilty chuckles and at least one enduring catchphrase, the immortal Birdie Num Num. Birdie Num Num. Edwards has run into similar later criticism for his inclusion of Mickey Rooney's overbroad Japanese caricature in Breakfast at Tiffany's. However, the film has also been hugely popular in India. The late Indian Prime Minister Indira Gandhi was a fan who was very fond of repeating Bakshi's line, "In India, we don't take who we are, we know who we are." The characters replied to a hostile, "Who do you think you are?" The character of Rundai also inspired, again, the Arjun Singh character in the Bollywood blockbuster Namek Halal. Additionally, for his film The Alien, Indian director Sajid Ray was planning on casting Sellers as a Maori businessman, and Ray was a fan of Sellers and believed he could convincingly portray Indian characters based on his performances in The Party and The Millionaires. Sellers eventually pulled out the project, and the film fell apart. Now, it got very, very little critical recognition. I don't think it was even considered for any Golden Globe musical comedy nominations, but it's still a Peter Sellers movie. It's just like with Charlie Chaplin. A Charlie Chaplin movie is worth watching. An Orson Welles movie is worth watching because there's only one Peter Sellers. And he wasn't doing this with racism in his heart. He really, truly believed in the character. And he was fully in the character. But really, what hurt the movie, and I hope you think this with all respect, if they would have used like a Lucille Ball or a Carol Channing, wouldn't that be fascinating to him playing an Indian character, talking to the real Carol Channing, or talking to the real Burt Reynolds, or the real Sally Field? Have a scene where basically he's interacting with real actors and he can improv from there. But if you like improv comedy, like that's a tradition in Acadian and Quebecois theater, that improv games. You watch the party, and he's taking a one note character and making it as fascinating as possible. But like I said, the poster art is of its time, and the DVD art. But again, it's Blake Edwards, it's Peter Sellers, it's Henry Mancini. That's word at least 2.5 stars out of four. I really don't think people think about the racism, but I know the fact that Elvis loved this movie, and that's the way it goes. So, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for listening. Don't forget, keep your stick in the ice and have a good one. Bye.